Hey guys, Erin here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Today I want to talk about how much time to allow for your bridal portraits on your wedding day. There's no single all-encompassing answer to this question, sadly, because no two couples are alike, no two wedding days are alike, and also no two photographers are alike, so a different photographer might have a totally different approach to me, and that is totally okay. The beautiful thing about this business is that we all make up our own rules, so that's actually a really awesome thing to me. This advice is probably only really applicable to my couples, but if you're watching it to get a different perspective and that sort of thing, that's totally cool too. Thanks for being here. The first thing we have to think about here is priorities. So if your bridal portraits are a big priority for you, if you're planning to display one or two or many in your house, or if it's something that you're really invested in on your wedding day, then it's probably best to allow a little bit more time than somebody who maybe cares more about candid photos or more focus on the ceremony and that sort of thing. So this is definitely one of those personal things. I'm personally not the kind of photographer who thinks there is a most important part of the day. I think it's all important, so of course you wouldn't be married if it wasn't for the ceremony and the legalities involved there. Of course you want to celebrate all of the people who have come out to witness it and to spend the day with you because they're all important to you or they wouldn't be there either. Of course you want to get those family portraits and record the sort of family history side of it and capture all of those beautiful faces. You want to have a great party and you want to capture that too, but of course you also want some beautiful photos of the two of you just married or about to be married if you go the first look route. And so I don't think there's any one part that's more important than the rest of the day. So I'm definitely not one of those photographers who's like, we must have 3 hours for the bridal party portraits, or I don't have enough to display on my blog. You know, it's not about me. That said, if you want to take 3 hours and visit a bunch of different locations and have heaps of bridal party portraits, then I'm totally up for that too. It's about what you guys want and what's important to you. So where do we start? There's so many factors to take into account here. If we don't have to go off-site for your portraits, which means if we're staying on location at one of the wonderful venues that has beautiful places to take photos, or the areas we're planning to use are within walking distance of your venue, then I say we start with an hour. 1 hour. That's after your family portraits finish, after the ceremony generally. We take that 1 hour, we start with the bridal party, we get everybody in, we take some shots of just the girls, some shots of just the boys. I like to get an individual portrait of each of you, the bride and groom, and an individual portrait of each member of the bridal party because they're looking amazing, so why not get a really nice headshot of everybody while they're looking amazing. I also love to get a shot of you with each of the girls if you're the bride, and of you as the groom with each of the boys too, because they're your best boys and your best girls, so of course you want to grab those shots. Once we're done with that, we can send the bridal party off and focus on just the two of you. So generally it's kind of like a half hour for the bridal party and then a half hour for just the two of you to grab those beautiful intimate couple portraits without an audience watching on, unless they give you a lot of energy and you'd like to keep them around, or we might generally keep one of the bridesmaids to toss a veil or fruit out the dress or hold the flowers and that sort of thing. So that's my basic hour not going off site. Things that we'd need to allow a little bit more time for are if we need to travel away from the ceremony venue, from where you're having your reception and everything as well. If you have a really big bridal party, or if you're planning to have your portraits taken in more than one location. For all of these three, we'll definitely need to allow a little bit of extra time. It's always the little things that we don't really take into account, which is where the extra time stacks on. So if you have a bridal party of 8, 10, 15 people, 15's kind of weird because generally they're not uneven, but you know, that's fine too. Sometimes they are. It's gonna take more time to get those 8, 10, 15 people rounded up and all in one place. And you know, sometimes we can start doing, if we have all the boys together, we'll just start with the boys while the girls round up the rest of the girls. It's good to keep in mind that it's so easy to get caught up in conversation on a wedding day, so you know, it's always good to have a little bit of extra time just in case. If we need to go off-site, we need that time to round everybody up and get them into cars together. That can actually be really difficult, especially if you have a lot of bridal party members to take off-site. If we add those two together, oh, it gets a little bit difficult. This is an instance where it can be really good to make sure that your bridal party members know that after the ceremony, after the family portraits, they need to be ready to get in the car so that we don't hold things up. Because I think a lot of the time they just don't know, and that's fine. If we can make sure that they do know, then we can totally avoid that problem altogether. Timing is everything in this instance, and here I'm referring to sunsets and tide times more than anything. If you are really keen to have beach photos, you know that the sun sets at 5:30 and high tide is at 5, then we need to make sure we get those beach photos before we lose the light and before the tide comes and kind of takes all of our sand away. When you're taking this stuff into account, it can also affect the timing for the beginning of your reception, the timing for your ceremony, to make sure that there's enough time. How many times can I say the word time in one video? To make sure that there's enough time for us to capture those photos before we lose the sun, before the tide comes up, that sort of thing. If you're not getting married on a beach, then the tide thing is not so much of an issue, but it's something to keep into consideration. That's not a sentence. It's something to take into consideration. It's also good to keep in mind that anything running late in the day prior to your bridal party portraits is going to eat into the time we allow for your bridal party portraits. So if we're half an hour late because we got stuck in traffic somewhere, the sun won't wait for us, sadly, so we're going to lose half an hour of bridal party portraits time. So it is important that we try and work out these timings and take everything into account. Which brings me to my next point, which is travel. If we do need to pile everyone into cars and drive somewhere off-site to get the photos, we need to have a realistic idea of how long it's going to take us to get to where we need to go. I recently photographed a wedding in Brisbane. It was beautiful, and thankfully the bride was really chilled and didn't mind, but we didn't take into account the Friday afternoon city traffic to get from the church in St Lucia to Brisbane City Hall where they were having their reception. We left the church right on 5 p.m. It was awful. Brisbane gets really congested anyway, but that side of town doesn't really have any other ways that you can go. There's 2 main roads and they were both super blocked, and I seriously think it took us 45 minutes to make what is usually a 5-minute journey. So that must have been pretty frustrating for that poor bride, but she kept it together. She was super cool about it, which is all you can do really. We still got fantastic photos, but the sun was gone by the time we got back to Brisbane City Hall, so everything was lit by the lights in the space and flash. So lesson learned, we need to take into account potential traffic. That was a Friday and it was 5 p.m, so of course, you know, that's a particular circumstance. Sometimes just heading south on the highway from Brisbane towards the Gold Coast and towards the Tweed Coast, you can get caught in traffic just because a lot of people are like, what a nice day, let's go to the beach. So definitely check out, if you can, Google Maps is a great resource here. Check out the day and the time that you plan to be traveling. Just punch it in, you can tell it like particular dates and what time you need to arrive and that sort of thing, and it will give you an idea based on past days what the traffic's going to be like, and you can get a really good idea to go from there. This last little point I kind of touched on a little bit earlier about getting people to cars and that sort of thing is practicality. If you have this beautiful rocky outcrop in mind that's at the top of a lookout that you'd like to get bridal party portraits at, or just photos of the 2 of you, then we kind of need to take into account the time it's going to take us to get from the car to that point. So if we've allowed 15 minutes and it takes us 10 minutes to get up there, then we'll only have 5 minutes to get the shot. So it's good to be practical about these things. Any of those little extra bits that you've thought, oh, that's us, when I've been talking about them today, just tack an extra 15 minutes on for those. So we've got our standard hour, we're going off site. Well, that one, maybe not 15 minutes. You'll have to find out exactly how long we need to travel for that one, and I'll be looking that stuff up too. But if you have a bigger bridal party, tack on 15 minutes. If we're going somewhere that's a bit out of the way and we're gonna bush bash it a bit from the car, tack on an extra 15 minutes. Those things will sort of add up a little bit, but you'll not regret it, I guarantee, when we have just the right amount of time to get the photos that you love, and we'll have you back to your party on time. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's anything that you would like to know about planning for your wedding day. I've done a lot of these things now, so I'm a bit of a wealth of knowledge, if I do say so myself. Hit me up with your questions and I will answer them in future videos and on my Instagram and that sort of thing. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope you're having a great day. See ya! Hi there, my name is Erin and you are watching me on a video for some reason. What the hell? There's no one easy answer for this question. I have a visitor. Oh. This is Mitsu. He's decided to come and help me film today. Thank you, you're very sweet.